Sarah walked into the towering glass building of the city's largest bank, her heart a mix of nervous excitement and quiet confidence. She clutched her business plan like a winning lottery ticket. This wasn't just about a loan. It was about legacy, about building something from the ground up in the neighborhood that had raised her. She wanted to open a community-focused bookstore and cafe, a safe haven for kids and a hub for local artists. The plan was meticulous, the financial projections solid. She had poured every late night and early morning into this dream. She sat across from the loan officer, a man named Mr. Harrison, whose smile seemed a little too polished. Sarah laid out her vision with passion, her voice steady as she explained the market research. The community support and her own savings, she was investing. Mr. Harrison nodded along, his eyes scanning the documents, but his expression remained unreadable. He asked a few standard questions, his tone detached, almost bored. Sarah answered each one with precision and clarity, but a small knot of unease began to form in her stomach. The atmosphere felt cold, clinical, a stark contrast to the vibrant dream she was painting. After what felt like an eternity, he leaned back, steepling his fingers. "Ms. Johnson," he began, and Sarah held her breath. "It's a charming idea, truly, but your application has been denied." The words hit her like a physical blow. Denied, but why? "My credit is excellent. My plan is sound." Mr. Harrison sighed, a sound of practiced patience. "Your collateral is insufficient. The business is high risk. The neighborhood. Well, it's not exactly a prime investment area." He offered a tight, dismissive smile. "We simply can't approve this." Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. High risk. The neighborhood. She knew what he was really saying. He saw her, a black woman from a less affluent part of town, and saw only risk. He didn't see the passion, the community, the meticulously crafted plan. He saw a stereotype. She gathered her papers, her hands trembling slightly. Humiliation and anger warred within her. As she stood up, his final words followed her out the door. "Perhaps you should consider a smaller, more manageable venture." Sarah walked out into the bright sunlight, feeling anything but bright. The city sounds seemed muffled, her dream feeling impossibly distant. For a few days, despair was a heavy blanket. She replayed the meeting over and over, his condescending tone, the veiled prejudice. She could give up. She could accept his verdict that her dream was too big, that she was too much of a risk. But then, another feeling started to bubble up, hot and fierce. Determination. He didn't get to decide her worth, didn't get to crush her dream. He spent the next week not in sorrow, but in action. She called her grandmother, a woman whose wisdom was as deep as her love. Her grandmother listened patiently, then said something that sparked a fire in Sarah. "Honey, sometimes you have to remind people who your people are. Remember your great-grandfather." Sarah's great-grandfather, James Johnson, was a name whispered with reverence in their family. A man who, against all odds in the early 20th century, had built a successful construction business right there in that same city. He had been a pillar of the community, a pioneer, but his story was largely forgotten by the wider world. Sarah remembered hearing tales of a dusty old ledger, a relic from his time. She spent hours in her grandmother's attic, sifting through forgotten history until she found it. A thick, leather-bound book. Inside, in elegant faded script, were records of transactions, loans given and repaid, and names. But one document tucked carefully between the pages made her gasp. It was a certificate, a founding charter for a bank, and the name on it, the very same bank that had just rejected her. Her great-grandfather wasn't just a customer, he had been one of the original investors. A founding partner who had provided a substantial amount of the initial capital to get the institution off the ground. His investment was made with the promise that the bank would serve all members of the community, a promise they had clearly forgotten. It was all there in black and white, legally binding and officially stamped. She wasn't just a prospective borrower, she was the heir to a founder. The next morning, Sarah walked back into that bank. She didn't have an appointment. She walked straight to Mr. Harrison's desk, her stride confident, her expression unyielding. He looked up, annoyed at the interruption. "Ms. Johnson, I believe we've concluded our business?" Sarah didn't say a word. She simply placed the old leather-bound book on his desk and opened it to the founding charter. She laid the document flat, its aged paper a stark contrast to the polished mahogany. Mr. Harrison's condescending smirk faltered. He picked up the document, his eyes widening as he read. He read it again, his face turning pale. He looked from the paper to Sarah, and for the first time he saw her. He saw the history she carried, the power she held. He stammered, I don't understand. Sarah finally spoke, her voice low and steady, ringing with the strength of generations. My great-grandfather, James Johnson, was a founding investor in this bank. His capital helped build these walls. His vision was for a bank that would uplift the community, not shut it out. You didn't just deny me a loan, you denied the very legacy of this institution. Silence fell over the office. Other employees had stopped to watch. Mr. Harrison, speechless, quickly picked up his phone and made a call. Within minutes, the bank manager, a woman with a severe expression, hurried out. She looked at the document at Sarah, and then at her trembling loan officer. The air was thick with tension. The manager cleared her throat. Miss Johnson, please, come into my office. It seems there has been a significant oversight. In the manager's office, the tone was entirely different. There were apologies, offers of coffee, and a sudden, intense interest in her business plan. The manager reviewed everything again, this time seeing not risk, but opportunity. She saw the community's support, the solid financials, and the determined woman sitting before her. The discussion was no longer about if they would fund her, but how. Sarah walked out of the bank for the second time, but this time, she wasn't defeated. She was victorious. She had the full funding she needed, on terms more favorable than she had initially requested. She hadn't just secured a loan. She had reclaimed her family's history and forced an institution to confront its own forgotten principles. Her bookstore and cafe, the Founder's Nook, opened 6 months later. It became the heart of the neighborhood, a place of learning, art, and connection. It was more than a business. It was a testament to the fact that you should never let anyone tell you your dreams are too big or that you are not enough. Sometimes, all it takes is reminding them who you are and where you come from. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire.